Hello, everyone. My name is Caroline Alvo, and I will be talking to you today about my top tips for avoiding a migraine on vacation. We've just come off a long weekend, and hopefully, a few of you got away, or at least most of you, or at least got a chance to relax. But we're also coming up in the summer, and hopefully, a lot of you will be taking some time to really relax and get away from your daily routine. And I love, love, love traveling, but it's also, I know, anything that kind of takes me out of my routine makes it very potent to a migraine, and that's often kind of the worst timing, unfortunately, because you want to really enjoy your vacation and see all the new sights. Hi to everyone that's joining. Hi, Gretchen. Thanks for commenting. I'll just be, again, it's not an exhaustive list, but these are just kind of the top tips. I've tried to boil it down to the simplest way to remember them. Before we dive into that, I'll just tell you a little bit about me and then a little bit more about what we'll be talking about. But my name is, again, Caroline Alvo. I am a certified integrative nutrition health coach. And basically what that means is kind of like merges lifestyle, diet, and all these other things that kind of give a 360 view of your health. And I apply that specifically to people with migraines that want to heal through food and lifestyle changes. But today I want to be really specific and talk about just how to really accommodate for, to minimize the risk of migraine while on vacation. So like I said, I'm going to be sharing my top tips. It's broken into two sections. So kind of before you go on your vacation and while you're on vacation. But again, this is not an exhaustive list. I would love for you guys to chime in with your top tips, as well as chime in with any questions. Please comment as we go along, and I will always be checking and kind of going back and forth and interacting with you guys whenever it makes the most sense. So again, for those just joining, we're talking about top tips on vacation, and my name is Carolyn. So please feel free to be as interactive as possible. It helps a lot. So let's talk about planning for a trip and what to do before a trip if you have migraine, particularly chronic migraine. Because I know for me, as a chronic migraine sufferer for years, one of the most important things for me was staying on my routine, whether that was a sleep routine, food routine, but the fact that you're going on vacation means you're taken out of that routine, which is a great thing, but it can also wreak migraine havoc. So how can we avoid that? If I could boil it down to one thing, for before your trip, it's really just all about planning. And so it's getting all of your reservations, from your hotel reservations, your plane reservations, whatever, car rental, all of that stuff in order well beforehand, and then making sure you have it all organized in one place before your trip, so that you're not stressing out beforehand, making sure you have things like a packing list that makes packing much, much easier, I found, and really minimizes stress. Not leaving things until the last minute, which I'm definitely guilty of, and therefore stay up way too late, and it's, again, stressing out about it. So really, again, planning all those little things, especially nowadays, especially if you're flying, it can be so stressful with all of the security checks and everything like that. So really make sure you kind of have everything in order. Obviously, number two, I would say, is around sleep. You want to make sure you're well rested before you go into your trip, which, you may, if you're working and you're taking a lot of time off, you're like, oh, well, I just have to cram in as much work as possible before I leave. And I get wanting to do that, but it's also so important for you to just make sure you're waking up and ready to go on that trip, and you're not already starting out 10 steps behind because you haven't slept. And it's not just about kind of catching up the night before and making sure you get 8 hours the night before, because it's hard to really catch up if you've been abusing your sleep. So I would say, make sure the week or two before that you're getting very regular and enough sleep before your trip. Number three, I'd say this has happened to me more than once, is don't forget your migraine medication. I mean, I think I've induced a headache on my own just by forgetting my Excedrin and worrying about if I was going to be able to find it at a local pharmacy, or especially if you're traveling internationally. I would just, just make sure that you have access to all of your medication. And this is very important. Do not keep it in your carry-on luggage. And if, just because some airlines are just so horrible about making you check when, even though it fits in the overhead bin, like they might force you to, to check it anyway. Just make sure it's in your personal item so you don't ever have to worry about not being with it. So that's super important. And this goes for over-the-counter medications like Excedrin, and then your go-to prescription medications. Make sure they're all up to date, filled, and in your carry-on. Lastly, and I think one of the most important ones for me at least, is food. Airports, or if you're traveling by car, like any like pit stops along the way, are just food. It's just all artificial food, all all just kind of desert wastelands for any like real healthy food. So you really want to focus on eating real foods, eating a lot of protein if you can, because that'll keep you fuller, and avoiding, airplane meals and just the go-to snacks that they have at all of those gift shops. It's really tempting to eat those things, but they're really devoid of any sort of nutrition, and they're, very potent for migraine sufferers. So I get it's not the most convenient thing, but it is, I think, just one of those things that'll pay dividends if you just prepare well. And I am totally that person that brings like one of those, like insulated big, kind of like an adult lunchbox, and I cook, like I grill veggies, I cook an egg frittata, I do all sorts of stuff. So my go-to snacks, if you guys are looking for inspiration, are I do hard-boiled eggs and smashed avocados together, which just makes it's like a really easy thing that you can just eat with a fork. I grill or I fry green plantains. If I fry them, I put them in my own coconut oil. And like I said, roasted veggies. I mean, you can do anything from you don't have to it doesn't have to be heated up. So you can do broccoli, sweet potatoes, anything like that, your go-to favorites. And then I also buy what are called pili nuts, which are my favorite nuts. I get them on Amazon. They're Pili. They're really, really delicious. Epic bars are a great brand. They're just like straight protein. Like usually you can buy usually bison meat combined with fruit is my favorite. And then like sprouted pumpkin seeds, almonds, cashews, things like that. So yeah, again, I think this is, if there was one category that I would be really, really, really strict on it to plan around, it's the food piece of this. So I would definitely highly recommend that. And then again, the last on this before category is don't forget your comfort items. Things like a neck pillow if you're going to be traveling for a long time, an eye mask, earplugs, sunglasses if you're going somewhere sunny, or if you're just sensitive to light in general. Keep yourself as comfortable as possible, I think is just the name of the game. I personally love those neck pillows because you're just so uncomfortable on flights. So that's my tip on the before part of it. So just to recap, it's just all about planning. Get your reservations in order. Make sure you're sleeping enough. Make sure you're eating right. Don't forget your migraine medication. And don't forget those things that are going to make you more comfortable on the flight.